Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Darren Page, and I'm Early Careers Resourcing Manager here at Tarmac, a leading building materials solution company that's based nationally across the United Kingdom. Delighted to be supporting the Festival of Apprenticeships as part of National Apprenticeship Week, and we've got a jam-packed 30 minutes for you. I'm going to introduce my colleague, who you can see in a moment, but there's the agenda that we're going to cover over the next 25 to 30 minutes. So, Mustafa, if I can ask you to introduce yourself, role that you're in, location, and how long that you've been with Tarmac. I know that you're going to share a lot more later on, but to start with an intro, that'd be great.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mustafa Malik. I'm an operations manager and an apprentice, and I'm based at Mount Sorrel. I've been with Tarmac since August 22, so it's nearly 2 years. It's been a while, but a short time as well.
Brilliant. I know that you've had a very sort of rich and sort of varied sort of development experience since being with us, Mustafa. So look forward to hearing more shortly. So we are going to sort of cover the opportunities that we have at Tarmac for 2024. People with Mustafa sharing his experiences and talk about development as well. That's hugely important as part of any apprenticeship program. And then to finish off, we've just got some application hints and tips for you as well. So Tarmac, we are part of an organisation called CRH. So we are the UK's leading sustainable building materials organisation, construction solutions business, and CRH, the world's largest building materials organisation. So there's a lovely visual there of one of our plants, one of our cement plants. CRH, so that gives in terms of scale who we are part of. So 73,000 people globally across 4 different continents, and huge income streams as well, with supporting large infrastructure projects in countries all around the world. Now, as part of our everyday life here at Tarmac, what you can see in front of you is a slide that tells you what our purpose is. And, you know, I mentioned sustainable solutions, building solutions, and CRH and Tarmac, our purpose is to reinvent the way that our world is built. And to do that, you'll see on the left-hand side, there's a values column on the left there, which I've circled. And the reason for that is those are the values that we would live and breathe in our day-to-day roles. And for an apprentice that would be looking to join at the outset, during that selection process, we would still be able to, or would still expect to be able to gather evidence from you of where, for example, looking at what's in front of us, their performance. So that is our commitment that we have in our day-to-day jobs here at Tarmac. So as an apprenticeship, you're going to be completing a learning pathway. So performance and being successful in that is what we're looking for, and evidence of you being able to, to willingness to learn is hugely important. We'll come on to these a little bit later, but I just wanted to flag those, and do make a note of them because it will help you in your research when you're making decisions on what to apply for. Now let's go into a little bit more detail about Tarmac as a business. And in terms of scale of organisation, then those numbers on that left-hand side really give a sense of how big Tarmac is. So if you look at the number of vehicles that will have moving building materials around the United Kingdom, then we have 2,500 vehicles that will also be moving and ensuring that products, often which a lot of them are going to be live products that need to be at their locations by a particular deadline, they're moving around from A to B. The number of sites that we have, number of quarries, I'm not going to go through every single one of these in detail, but there's huge sites that we have with quarries, and we're extracting the materials from those sites. Mustafa will share more about that from where he's based, but we're extracting materials, we're putting those materials through production processes to manufacture building materials products that will then go to infrastructure projects that we're working on. You can also see that we have Tarmac trains going around the network at any one time, and that's carrying materials as well. So huge operation, complex operation, and we have opportunities across a number of different areas which we'll share with you shortly. The environment is hugely important to us, and being a sustainable business is hugely important. And you'll see on this slide, there's some targets with regards to reduction of CO2 emissions and to reaching net zero by 2050. You'll also see on the slide the word ACT, which is our sustainability strategy. There's a few more details of that here. So we have our purpose, as I've mentioned, is to reinvent the way that our world is built. And that sustainability strategy at the heart of achieving that is focus on the people that we have, the planet, the environment, and solutions that we develop to help us achieve those goals that are set. So from a research perspective, to help you with careers research and where you decide to pursue opportunities, understanding this kind of information is really important, because there's a sort of personal and ethical side to choosing that culture and kind of organization you want to work at, but also the knowledge that you're building as you complete that career planning. There's a few examples here of projects that are taking place that helps us achieve those targets by 2030. I'm not going to go through every single one, but I am going to bring Mustafa into this conversation, because at Mount Sorrel, where you're based, there's a number of projects that you're involved in that are helping towards this.
Yes, definitely, Darren. So one of the projects that we're currently going over Tarmac, but in Mount Sorrel specifically, is our 2 asphalt plants. So we are trying to increase our RAP, which is recycled asphalt pavement. So just to give you a brief example of it, when we're looking to resurface a road, obviously we have the existing tarmac, so we decide to rip that up, send that to one of our sites. It gets recycled, crushed, and then mixed into the current asphalt that we're making it about 30% more sustainable. So it's helping to bring down our circular economy. That means recycling the goods and then reusing it, recycling, reusing it. So that's one of the examples. And another one, as you can see on there, is 100% renewable electricity. With our big static plant, it draws a lot of electricity from the grid. So that's why we try to source our electricity from renewable sources such as solar, wind, and turbines.
Okay, thank you. So in that short space of time, I know that you said you've been with us nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
It's around 18 months, isn't it? I think so. So with that involvement in projects like that, there's clearly been a lot of learning that you've been through in that short period of time. I know that you'll share more in a few moments, but what I'm sure everybody would be interested in as well is that support that you've got with the trajectory, and that's that curve of learning that you've completed, Mustafa. So if you could touch on that, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm starting from the industry, kind of knowing not really what a quarry is, all this technical knowledge. I think obviously with my apprenticeship being a degree apprenticeship, learning a bit about the fundamentals at university, has definitely helped me understand and work on these projects. But like I said, there's so many people here have been working for 20, 30 years, and they've got the knowledge, and they're so much they want you to ask the questions. I think that's very important, not trying to keeping it to yourself, asking the questions. They're more than happy to share the information. They're more ecstatic. They're happy that they want to transfer their knowledge that they've learned over the years to a new person in this industry. And I think generally people do get excited when you ask questions, because they're kind of like expressing their knowledge. So like I said, there's so many learning curves that you have to go around, but we're not expecting anybody to be a professional in it, because I definitely wasn't. But there's definitely support networks with like yourself and mentors and line managers that are always there to help, and anybody really. I think that's what I found along my journey.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Mustafa. I think the reason why I've included this slide as well is we do have apprenticeships, and lots of them in different routes into different careers. Tarmac also has its own, you could say, its own college. We have what we call the National Safety Park, which is a learning facility, a regenerated site that is best in class within the industry, and we have a lot of our own people that will complete learning. So at that site, and we are a college provider, so a number of our apprenticeships, the learning is completed at this site in North Nottinghamshire. So Ofsted rated as outstanding, which we're incredibly proud of. But it really does allow us to make sure that we're providing our own people and apprentices with the right safety training and being able to use the plant in the right way and being able to go about their jobs safely on a day-to-day basis. So a quick summary before we kind of skip into the next part is, we've provided information about the sector, about us as an organisation. And I think what an application tip is, think about what's important to you. Okay. So the information that we've shared so far, how is that important to you? And it could be the culture and values of an organisation is going to be important. You're going to be going to this employer on a day-to-day basis along with studying, but think of the values that organisation has and the values that you personally have as well. Look into the culture of that organisation and the kind of environment that you want to sort of be in. Also look at the development on offer. It's not just about getting an apprenticeship. Think about that learning that you're going to be doing on the job, as well as the college/university, if it's a higher apprenticeship, off the job training as well. That's hugely important. So we're going to focus on the early careers programs that we have on offer. And we have a lot of opportunities nationwide. Our business is split into regions. So we have different teams that be South Western Wales, Midlands, South East and London, and then Northern Scotland. And we also have a team that would be focused on 3 different cement and pack sites in Wales, in Derbyshire and in Scotland. But across the board, there is a huge number of operational roles that we have this year, starting off at level 2 with road surfacing and highways maintenance, which is GCSE level, to level 3 for maintenance fitters, and also from a mechanical side, but also electricians as well. Going into level 4 and the higher apprenticeships, we have supervisor or apprentice supervisors, which will go through a learning pathway gearing up to within the construction/building materials industry and being site supervisors, through to quantity surveyors, going through level 4 and then on to level 6, as well as the pathway that Mustafa is completing, which we'll find out more about in a moment, which is operations management, with the learning taking place at University of Derby. So finance as well, so it's not all operational. Okay, so really important for you to do that research, and you can do that just by going on to Tarmac Early Careers website, and there's videos, there is links to online careers evenings that are taking place later this month, which will be via MS Teams calls. So go onto the apprenticeship site, scroll down, you'll see the link, you'll be able to register, and the resourcing team and our marketing team will be able to provide you all the information that you need. So our people, Mustafa has introduced himself, giving a bit of a snapshot of the kind of projects to help us achieve our sustainability sort of targets that we have. So going to kind of open up a little bit more and provide a little bit of background to where he's got to today and what he's been doing since joining last year. So in fact, 2022. So over to you, Mustafa.
Thank you, Darren. So just a little proud to be me slide, just a little insight into what I like and what I get out outside of work. So I'm a sports fanatic. I love watching football, tennis, and F1. I love participating in it. I'm quite competitive. Let's just say if you're a Ferrari fan like myself, you're very excited with the news with Lewis Hamilton. So can't wait for the 2025 season. I think to be able to travel the world and explore new places, see different architecture and try new cuisines and new people. I'm definitely a people person, so I love learning about different people experiences and how they live is very interesting. And I think just generally for the last one, having the opportunity to work for an organisation like Tarmac that has a culture of innovation and sustainability, it's allowed me to develop and change the way we sustain the future for myself and the future generations. So why did I choose the apprenticeship route and Tarmac? So when I was in sixth form, I always knew that I was more of a hands-on person. And I think that kind of somewhat reflected through my GCSEs, I definitely picked more hands-on subjects. For example, I picked design technology. I've always kind of been interested in taking things apart and remaking it, remodeling it, especially with design technology, being able to think of concepts and then use CAD systems and then design it and make prototypes and then fix on it has really allowed me to put problem solving and practical thinking on the spot. I think when it came to my second year in sixth form, I knew I wasn't keen on the idea of going to university, so I started to look at degree apprenticeships and I found many opportunities. Why did I choose the apprenticeship route? I think the apprenticeship route was a very good choice for myself as it allowed me to learn and apply the learning that I learned from university and win from other people into the workplace. For example, currently I'm doing a drill and blasting, which is a fundamental part of quarrying, and being able to learn the specific and technical knowledge and bring it back to site and speak to the shop wiring team here to see if we can optimize our blasts. And I think somewhat at university, you might not get that same practical experience, being able to learn and then put the learning into workplace. Another reason why I choose the apprenticeship route is I think coming to my second year and when I was applying for a UCAS, as some of you may be doing right now, I wasn't sure what I wanted to study. I kind of have a brief idea, but my heart wasn't set on something, and I didn't really want to go to university to study a subject I wasn't sold on and I might not enjoy, and I feel like I've wasted my time. So I started looking at degree apprenticeships and different opportunities, and I definitely thought that I could see myself doing a degree apprenticeship. So finally, when I come back to the summer of August 2022, after just finishing my A levels, I had my results, and so I started looking at applying. And once applying, and obviously the results started coming through, I found out I got quite a few offers. So some of them are EY, which is a financial, with similar with RSM, Centurion, which is online kind of within the operations boring industry. They kind of create the systems behind what we use today. And then I think the most like generally when I speak to people, people are like, oh wow, is a Royal Navy nuclear submarine program. So working on the Trident submarines in somewhere in one of the ports. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But I think after looking at them and figuring out which was the best for me, I kind of sided towards Tarmac, but I wasn't sold on it. But I think the final stage of my interview was an in-person interview. So I came to site and from arriving on the site, meeting the team, meeting the line manager, getting a brief overview of the massive operation that completely blew my mind on day one. And I found a sense of belonging at that point, and I could see a future for myself at Tarmac and at the site. So here's just a brief description of what I kind of do as operation management apprentice. As you can see, I've got a view range photos. I kind of love my photography in the quarry. I think no matter what, when I always look at it, I always think it's amazing. So we've got some aerial photography photos of Mount Sorrel. We've got a picture of one of our mobile plants, and we've got a picture of what we're currently doing in the bottom, which is loading the material into the dumper. So currently, operations is very different. It presents its new challenges every day. When you're always fighting, it's kind of like fire extinguishing. You're always running from a problem to another. But that's the life of operation. I think the industry we kind of work at, which I say to people, it's kind of a big game of chess. You're always trying to figure out the next 2, 3 steps ahead before you take the next step. So it's very important that you're always thinking on your feet. Currently, I'm on a year placement to the quarry. So luckily, the site that I work at, it's such a vast site. We have many different little plants within one bigger site. So I'm currently moving around site, learning about the different aspects of tarmac, the notion of a quarry. We've got ready mix, asphalt, and processing, which is a whole different area. So just some fundamentals that I've learned while being in the quarry for a year is drill and blasting, which is fundamental parts, how we extract the rock. Load and haul is how we load the rock and how we move it to the primary crusher. Health and safety, obviously the industry we work in, it can be very dangerous. We've got to make sure that the people we work with are doing safe, the policies that we put in place are safe, and we're operating to make sure everybody works safe, home safe, which is one of the big Tarmac policies, and then very important legislation within the quarry. There's a lot of rules and policies that we have to follow that are set out by the HSC and make sure we're always compliant, and geology of a granite quarry. I think it kind of always blew my mind, even speaking to geologists today. There's so many different types of geology, with it being igneous rock, and learning about the different geologies that you'll learn about if you do come to join the quarry management apprenticeship. Definitely a part of my degree apprenticeship is studying with University in Derby is mineral extraction. So that's quite interesting course. It kind of the fundamentals of quarrying with a technical side as well. And I think if I had to talk about three areas where I definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Built on and kind of grown on is confidence, responsibility, and learning. Confidence, I've definitely grown in confidence. I think when I joined the industry, I was quite nervous, not knowing the technical knowledge, speaking to people who've been here for a very long time. But as just being more open, being myself, I definitely just grew in confidence, get more favorable with the site, the people. Responsibility, when I first joined, I had very little responsibility. Obviously, such a big area, such a big site. But as I've developed throughout the 2 years, I've gained so much responsibility in terms of leading teams, managing projects, and then learning. Still to this day, still 2 years in, and I'm still learning every day. I think I'll keep on learning for the rest of my career. There's always new little tips and tricks and ideas that you can think of that people bring to the table.
That's great, Mustafa. Thank you. But just kind of hearing you there and looking at those images as well.
Yeah.
This question may sound a little bit obvious looking at the scale of that site and looking at the pictures of just how big the Mount Sorrel site is. But what else surprised you about Tarmac during those early months that you were with us?
I think it's like the vast amount of support network there is. We've got mentoring programs, early careers, HR, that all just there to your like need in that sense. I think that's one thing that after a few months I found that I kind of need to utilize that network. It's there, so I need to push on it, kind of speak to them, find out about a bit more about it. But yeah, it's just the support network so vast, and I think everybody here has genuinely interest in your development. I don't think I've ever spoke to somebody who's not trying to develop me further. If that's my mentor, line manager, colleagues are always trying to better you in that sense. So that was very interesting.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Let's move on because I know that you've got. Is there anything? Yeah, we'll talk about development now. So I know that you've began this journey, but for those people that are viewing this, every apprentice is going to have a development plan, depending on the level of apprenticeship that you come in on. Our level twos and level threes. So those are intermediate and advanced apprenticeship level. They will have individual learning plans, and our higher apprentices, alongside our graduate population as well, will go into cohorts and they will complete what we call the core skills development program, which is a series of modules that are completed over the first 2 years. And because you're an apprentice, Mustafa, your first 12 months didn't include this, but you've just begun this journey, haven't you?
Yeah, last in 2023 in November we started. I think it's a great program, really. It's a way you meet people who are doing the same job as yourself, same age range, similarities and hobbies. I can definitely say that I've made somewhat everlasting long friends within this Derby University and this cohort. It's a great network because within the next 3 to 5 years, you'll be meeting people that have moved up in the business and like yourself. It's just growing your network, networking with people, learning a bit more what they do. Currently, I'm on module 3, just waiting for that to start in March. Should be really interesting. But the first one was a proud to be me. So we just got together at one of the offices and everybody just talks about the proud to be me slide, just a bit more information, a bit of an icebreaker for our cohort, kind of meet and mix.
Nice.
Module 2 was about full potential. So understanding how we can use the support network that Tarmac has, utilizing our networks and make sure that we speak to our line managers about development and make sure we can reach our full potential at all times and not limiting ourselves to our development.
And I think what's important with this as well is that, we say the word mandatory, and it's your line managers really back you to make sure that you're there, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think generally I don't think I've ever heard anybody saying they're not allowed to attend. It's like you said, it's a mandatory thing, but it's for your benefit. I don't think I wouldn't want to go in that sense. It's interesting for like some of them, the team building from other cohorts I spoke to. It's kind of like a residential trip where you kind of go stay with everybody and you do different team building exercise. And I'm definitely like an outdoor person, so that sounds very interesting for me. But like I said, managers are always there. They've never had anybody ever say they've not been allowed to attend, and they're always there to back you, support you, and get you there.
That's great. I know that line managers that have that responsibility for apprentices go through extensive, let's say training, but extensive guidance sessions and support sessions to make sure that they've got the tools and knowledge and confidence to make sure that people like yourselves are really looked after, so that and that's where these dates are included in the diary way in advance, so that as an apprentice they're coming along, and the line manager does as well. So that's it's great to hear that from you, that support is there from you report into.
Yeah, I
So
think just like another tip for that, sorry, Darren, just to
yeah, no
skip.
worries.
Some people might be worried about driving, traveling, and accommodation. I don't think that's something that needs to be worried about. Tarmac, we have either the sort of transportation out for you, or if you need to travel, like some people we have traveling from Scotland all the way down to Birmingham, so it's a bit of a travel. Hotels and everything's all booked for, so there's nothing anybody needs to worry about ever traveling. It's all accommodated through Tarmac.
That's fantastic. Yes, you're right. There is that support. It's great to get that cohort together. Geographically, you're all in different locations, but it really does help build your network as well, doesn't it? So
Definitely.
that's good. Right. So let's move on. We're coming towards the close of this session, but hearing from Mustafa and the opportunities that we have, hopefully you'll be going online, exploring a little bit more, and I would encourage you to do so. It is about putting the time aside and investing that time to make sure that you find the right opportunity for you. But some application hints and tips. Our candidate journey is a relatively straightforward one. So we have our own careers hub where candidates need to complete a profile, and then following that there's an application form that is submitted, and upon reaching the criteria then we have MS Teams calls. So we did have self-recorded video interviews, but we stopped those. We feel as though it's much more beneficial to the candidate and to ourselves to be able to speak to somebody face to face. So a short 15-minute conversation where we can understand your aspirations to pursue the opportunity is vitally important. After that, hopefully it'll be an assessment stroke final interview day for our apprenticeships. Those will be on site. We'll be providing all the guidance that you need to get there. I suppose to get there, a lot of our sites are in rural locations and not accessible by public transport. So we've got site maps that we send to you and documents, so visuals so you can see what it's going to be like when you arrive, because if you've not been there before, you don't know. So if you've got something that's visual, then that really helps and guides you to where you need to be. After those interviews, there's feedback sessions, but guidance sessions before you attend as well, with a view to offers being made towards the end of April. We'll come on to the application close date in a moment, and then joining the business in September. So what I am going to do is play this short video. We'll look to also provide the YouTube link as well. But have a watch of this. It's only 60 seconds long, and it tells you what you need to do. Okay, there's a little bit of info there that I thought would be useful. So have a think about when you're applying and when you're pursuing opportunities. Think about what you enjoy doing. You know, we heard Mustafa talking earlier about the subjects he was studying at college and sixth form, and about that practical nature. So you know, kind of like fixing things. You know, think about what you enjoy doing and trying to link those opportunities in there. Understanding the commitments need to be successful is vitally important, and think about long term. You know, so you don't have to automatically go straight into a degree apprenticeship if you've taken A levels. It could be a apprenticeship that's going to give you the tools that therefore opens up that gateway to a successful career with continuous development that could lead in a degree in the long term. So, and tell us why, you know, we really need the detail in the application. We can't second guess that. So eligibility, right to work is also important as well. And then what you'll complete with us is the application form, careers conversation, as I've mentioned, and an interview on site. And the timeline that we have is end of February, our applications close, and we'll be completing those MS Teams suitability screening career conversations in March, with interviews towards the end of March around Easter and in throughout April as well. So we will be including interview dates on adverts as we go into next week after National Apprenticeship Week, because those are all set. And I would encourage applications as soon as possible. Just before we close, is there any final words from yourself, Mustafa, in terms of words of, you know, why you would recommend Tarmac?
I think, like I said before, Tarmac's a great company. If you feel like it suits what you're interested in, and it's definitely one of our key areas. If your values kind of attain with your own, and I think it's a great company. Loads of people here care about your development, care about yourself. Um, yeah, I think generally I've really enjoyed my time. It's definitely, especially actually when I think about it, there is one point that I would like to mention is the CRH parent company. It's a really interesting opportunity. I've spoken to loads of colleagues and people on LinkedIn who have moved from Tarmac itself. It started as Tarmac and now moved into CRH into quite big extensive roles. So like Darren said, mentioned earlier in the slide, CRH operates in 4 continents and heavily in North America, Australia, and heavily in Europe. And I'm really looking forward to their interest in hopefully trying to transitioning from Tarmac to CRH. It's one of my goals. I would like to work abroad in this industry. So I think that's one of the big benefits for working for Tarmac.
Good, very good point. Well made there, Mustafa. Thank you all ever so much for viewing this afternoon. There are those online careers evenings taking place later this month. If you're in the Southwest and looking for opportunities, then we do have one of those taking place this Thursday. So today, Thursday the 8th at 5:15. So you should still be able to go online and register, but there are other activities taking place on the 13th and 20th of February. So all the very best. Make the most of National Apprenticeship Week, and thank you very much for watching.